Welcome to this video about the Telection platform. This time I will look at how to convert from a candidate view that you get when you initially create a user on Telection, and how you can move on to a standardized user which gives you access to much more of the platform functionality. My name is Hans Petter Ramstad and I'm the founder of Telection. So here you are on the candidate page and you see that all the activities are done and it's also made visible. So what you can do now is you go up in the right corner and click on the cog config user. You are then taken to another page, and here you basically click on convert user. You confirm that by clicking OK, and that is quickly done, and now it will take you to a new entry page, a new default page for your user. So the next time you sign in now, you will come to this page. The logic of this page is as follows. You have a search functionality. You also have some icons up in the right corner that you can invite users. You can provide some feedback, go to some help and sign out. And on the top left corner, you have access to the main menu. Click on that and you also click to expand. And here you see all the functionality that are available to you now. So you can go to the home page, which is this one. Look at person profile. You can run some simulations. You have access to some wizards. You have access to the full library of tests on the Telection platform. You have access to all the games. You have some group functionality, some configuration like my user, where you can look at also shared items. If your profile, for example, has been shared with somebody, you can also use tags, which I will not spend time on now. And the last one, applications. And on applications, you will find the application that was created when you also created your user for the project that you are linked to, being a recruitment project or a test project or whatever. So I close this again, close the menu, and let's look at the screen itself. You have some dashboard elements, how many invitations you have sent, how many shares you have made, number of applications, which is one, number of tests you have done, and number of games. So that's linked to the activities on the initial pages. And also if your profile is complete or not. And the completion here, which is 100% in this case, is not necessarily linked to the project. So you might come to this page and your profile is not complete because the Telection platform looks at the completeness of profiles a bit differently than any given project, for example. Below that, you have 4 options of what to do. You can look at your profile by clicking on Open Profile. You can run simulations. A simulation is you take your profile or your digital twin, and then you check, for example, what kind of leadership style you would naturally execute, what kind of role you will naturally take in a team dynamics, etc. So that's simulation. So you take the digital twin on you as an individual and apply it to different business situations and see how it matches up. OpenIndex or index product is basically a set of perfect or preferred attributes of an individual, for example, being a founder. So the perfect combination of attributes, characteristics for an individual being a founder. It can also be a sales hunter. It can be a future worker as defined by World Economic Forum. So it's similar to simulations, but you're simulating or matching your own digital profile up against these ideal profiles, for example, for a founder. And the last fourth activity you can do is to open applications. Below that, you see the different elements that you have created through your activities. So, for example, your intelligence test, personality, motivation, which is generated from your personality test, same as culture, and some other games and cognitive flexibility in this case. The most interesting page to go to initially now is usually to go to your profile. So you open profile, or you can also go to it through the left menu, person profile. And here you have the profile for your user, and on that profile, all your activity, all your data generated through the activities are linked to this. So here you have some basic information. There are some elements that are not populated because the project that you're linked to didn't necessarily ask for this data. So this really depends on the project that you have been on, and can also later on be changed, added to by doing either more tests or more games. But in this case, I have done a personality test. So here you see my top level personality for this user. And below that you have details. So on the candidate page, you just saw the top 5 factors of this Big 5 Ocean personality test. But having converted to a standard user, you have full access to all the details of personality. So the factor itself and all the subsequent facets below those different factors. With your score against the standardized mean, and your attributes as a result of your score. If you at any given time are wondering about some of these scores, you can click on the eye to the right of the individual line, and that will open the Telection Assistant. It will take your results of that given line into the Telection Assistant window here, and then it will basically through an API to OpenAI ask for an interpretation or description of that given dimension. So here he talks about the fantasy facet under the openness factor, gives a description of the person, some comparison to the general population, and a summary. So here he gets an explanation of what that really means in more details, and here you can of course continue asking for details. So for example, please provide more details. And then it will send that request through to OpenAI, and it will spit out some more details about this factor. Okay. Below here, yeah, you see the different 5 factors, and for each of the 5 main factors you have the facets and details. Below that we also had some intelligence activities, not very impressive scores as such, but anyway. Up in the left corner you have the absolute scores, and below that you see these absolute scores applied to something called Bloom's taxonomy, which is basically a representation of the different levels of university or schooling system in Europe and across the world. Everything from you enter in as a child until you go to bachelor, master, and PhD. So CREATE is a PhD level, and remember the first level is the initial entry level. So there you see how you score against a standardized model and into the school university system. Motivation, special skills, culture, etc. That's not really interesting at the current moment, but these are all models that are created based on your personality, for example. Below that, you see the cognitive flexibility in this case, some varied results. I will look into this and create another video where I can explain how to interpret the results specifically for this. And below you have some game results, and also you have a list of different things that are linked to this profile that you can edit. Another more advanced feature is, for example, if you go back to personality, you can click on this go to chart details, which opens up a separate page. And if you scroll down here, you can send this to OpenAI for analysis. And this will read your personality profile, or the chat GPT will read your personality profile anonymously, of course. And it will give you a summary of it. It will lift out the important aspects, the significant combinations across different factors, and the negative and positives. So I just did that, and now I can go back to the other page and just refresh that, And then you will see on the personality segment here that this results is given. So you can have that on your personality every time you open this page. You can also, if you want, open an AI export dialog. And this is basically, here it's written how you do it, but basically you have your personality results given here. You can click on it, and then you can separately open your ChatGPT or Gemini assistant. And let's also open the 4.0 model, and then you paste it, paste the results in here. So that when you clicked on this dialog, it copied it to the clipboard so that you can paste it into the ChatGPT prompt. And now ChatGPT is reading your profile and give a more detailed interpretation of your profile. So it goes into both the top level factors and all the different facets. And below here, you can also see different prompts that you can take into ChatGPT. So for example, what are the most significant aspects of this profile? You just click on that, it's copied to clipboard. You can take it into ChatGPT and paste it in here. And then it will run that prompt for you. And here it's switched to Norwegian for some reason, but the point is the same. You will get more detailed interpretation of the most important aspects of this profile. And below that, you have some other prompts also that you can take. For example, the Belbin team role model, which is an interesting model which talks a bit about what kind of roles you will take on a team when you're working in a group or a team, in a team dynamic. So same thing happens here. You click on the prompt, it's copied to the clipboard, and then you can take it into ChatGPT for it to interpret, to come back with the results. So here you see it's spitting out its interpretation. And based on this, you can just continue this dialogue and go into details, ask for more interpretations or start a dialogues or certain aspects that are interesting to you. If you go down a bit again and to this cognitive flexibility, which is basically about how you deal with change, how you deal with stress and your change behavior in general. You can also do the same thing here. You can click on this I export to Cogflex. It looks the same, so it's taking the results of the Cogflex test. You click on the results. You go into, let's open a new thread. So you delete the existing thread and start a new one. And then paste it in here. And then it will give you an explanations of not only the results that you just pasted in, but also the overall model. So it's easier to understand the dynamics and what you can read out of this test. And below that, you also have some other examples of different prompts you can take. For example, what would you recommend this person to focus on when it comes to training and improving from a Cogflex perspective? So how do you make this person more change aware and strengthen this person's change awareness? So that's that. There are some other aspects here also you can look at. So let's and on several of these pages, an example for this one, you can at any given time open the dialogue and the chat assistant to the right here, and you can ask questions. You can run the prompts similar to what you do in the separate ChatGPT window. The same functionality, but it's within the collection, and it's against a sandbox which is not exposed to the general public. So let's go back to the home page again and look at that. Yeah, let's think other things we can think about. You can switch between what you want to do with kind of predefined questions. But you can also here switch to a ChatGPT or an OpenAI assistant dialogue, and you can ask questions from this perspective also if you want, so you can just switch back and forth on that. Just at the end of this, just quickly show you a couple of other things. From here you can see that you have access to all the tests on the platform. Here there are 26 different tests, and some of the tests that you already done, for example big file details, is already here. So you have the different test types at the top, and below at the bottom you have all the tests that you have done. Same thing when it comes to games. You click on game in the left menu, and here you have the 15 different games that are available on the platform, and below that you have all the game runs that you already have done during or when you were in the candidate landing page previously. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. The simulations, let's have a quick look at that also, because that's a really interesting feature which you can learn a lot from. So here you open up a simulation, it brings in your digital twin, and here you can look at, okay, what kind of team roles do I fit in? So you click on that, and then you have the graph with the monitor evaluator, which is the role that best fits you. And you wonder, okay, what kind of role is that? Then you go to the right, and then you find the monitor evaluator here. And if you look at the explanations below, the thought-oriented roles, you see that the monitor evaluator is a kind of a thinking role, as opposed to an action-oriented role and a people-oriented role. And the purpose of the monitor evaluator is to analyze the options. For example, if you're playing with scenarios, if you're playing with different ideas about how to approach a certain subject, or you're preparing a project or a strategy, a new strategy, a change to the strategy, this person is very strong when it comes to analyzing the different options and selecting the right one for the company. And similar things for the other roles. When it comes to leadership also, you can click on that, and then you see, okay, here there is a pretty clear preference for a visionary leadership style. So, and then what is a visionary leadership style? You can have that below, and you also have, for most of these different simulations, you have a link to a page which explains you more about these different, for example in this case, different leadership styles. So I think that's the main things here. There are of course also other things that we could have looked at, but I think that gives you a small introduction to the power and the capabilities of the Telection platform as seen from a standard user perspective. But feel free to contact me or us at Telection and ask questions, or we can also set up a session where we walk through this. So thanks for listening, and thanks for looking at this video.